And hello, welcome to the Brian Hartson Show. I'm Brian Hartson. Very pleased to have you with me today, and I have got a great show for you over the next half hour. With me today is an amazing person, Anastasia, and Anastasia Vladichenko. I believe I said that correctly. Thank you for joining us, Anastasia. Can you hear me okay there?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, Anastasia, you are a U.S. certified customer experience executive. And I know that you've started a customer service revolution in the country where the word service does not exist in the language, in Ukraine, as a matter of fact. And we're going to have a good conversation about that. But I want to give a little bit of a background of yourself so that our listeners know exactly who we're talking to. Anastasia holds an executive positions in travel and tourism, and she's reached extraordinary success in retaining clients and employees. Has been promoted to a partner in one of the biggest tour operators in Russia in just 3 years. And from that point, Anastasia has moved on to other countries. Has helped brands like Max Mara, Credit Agricole, I believe I'm saying correct, Agricole Bank, a very common name, McDonald's out there, Jabil, and government organizations to transform their service by changing the mindset and belief of their management. Now, for 15 years, Anastasia has been helping corporate leaders to redefine customer service so that they can change the company's philosophy, culture, and processes to create customer and employee loyalty and increased income, as well as repeat business. Anastasia's current mission is to change the way companies treat their clients and their employees worldwide. Her passion and energy for service ignites leaders to make change and the change that is needed and possible. Anastasia, welcome to the Brian Hartson Show. I am so pleased to have you with us. Can you tell us, Anastasia, what is a U.S. customer service executive?
Yeah. So, thank you, Brian, for having me. So this is, I was looking for, because I was this successful executive in travel and tourism, I also felt like I was always looking for, I felt like customer service was chaotic all the time. And I was like everybody else, just looking for frontline people providing the best customer service. I thought that was it. You go, you train your people, they provide customer service. But I felt something was wrong and it should be connected with culture. I had that feeling. So then I found a program in the US. It's a yearly program. It's called Customer Executive Academy. So you go there for a year and they teach you based on the methodology developed by world-class service companies like Starbucks, Amazon, Lexus, US Bank. So they teach you that methodology and certify you as a customer experience executive. And then you can, you're a professional who can actually go and help your company or other companies as well. So that's what I'm doing right now. Like I have my own consulting business that is helping those big names that you just mentioned.
Awesome. It sounds like an awful lot of fun. Now, I've been able to see your video, and we're going to, it's a little teaser after our break when we come back in a little bit here. I'm going to play a little bit of that video. And something that stood out to me was that in Ukraine, you started a revolution in the country. And now, I don't know about most people, but for me, a revolution is a pretty big thing. So tell us what revolution you've created and how that's impacted your life and the lives of your clients.
Yeah, that is not the revolution you're probably thinking about, because I'm only around 40, but I've been through 2 revolutions, like real revolutions in the country. So that is not that one. Okay. Yeah. I call it a revolution just because we have the Ukraine had a lot of communist inheritance, which means that, as you mentioned, the word serve does not exist in the language. Okay. It does exist, but in 2 very, very funny connotations. So one is serving in the church. Second one is serving in the army. And so like, two of those do not help you when you want to build a successful business, right? These are very different connotations.
Yeah, and it's two polar opposites, isn't it?
Exactly. Either church or army. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and businesses sometimes do behave like an army or a church, don't you think? Non. So yeah, but you still need to be profitable. And now I own my company. I know you have to be profitable with the help of great customer relationships, right? So back to your question. Sorry. Why the revolution? Because when I started the first customer care department, it was the first customer care department in the country. Okay, like before we only had complaints departments, and sometimes I call them customer fighting departments. Like they fight with customers. So yeah, so that was the first thing. Second thing, I felt I had a dream that in Ukraine, people did not have a place to go to and learn customer experience or customer service. Like there wasn't a place like that, okay? And add that bad inheritance, that bad communist inheritance. So, naturally you do not know how to provide service. You don't have it in the culture. Sure. But then also you don't have a place where to go and learn it, right? So that was my dream. Yeah, that was another reason why I went to the States and brought that educational program into Ukraine. So, and third thing, I don't know if you saw this, but some people, if you have gone through any MBA program, you know that they do not teach you customer service. Like there is a customer experience management program, maybe like a day program in the whole MBA program for 2 years, right? But it's only part of marketing. And I felt like it had to be on MBA and President's MBA program, customer service, customer experience, because if they don't teach you, right, if you don't teach the leaders, how then company become truly customer centric? Like there is no way. So what I did, I started pitching business schools, and now I'm teaching customer experience management to all those leaders and CEOs, not only in Ukraine, by the way. I started doing that in New York, in Brussels, in London, different cities, because they need it badly.
And so my question that I have on that is you're talking about education, and actually education's transformed in the corporate world a little bit over the past couple of decades, hasn't it? Because 20 years ago, if you called up a major corporation, a McDonald's, I'm using McDonald's because we have that out there, but any corporation, and you had a problem with the customer, nobody really cared. And then we went through a big transition over the years where customer service was rather huge, right? Am I right about that, or am I missing the boat?
No, you're actually right. But the question is it a trend or something that a company truly wants to achieve? Do you feel the difference?
So what you're saying is it a trend being the company says, okay, I'm going to send my employees through this special training, and you are amazing on stage, by the way, amazing. So I'm going to send a whole bunch of people to watch Anastasia do her presentation, and what they leave from there, I really don't care, because I want them to really do what I want them to do, which is the bottom line, get through to the next whatever widget I've got to do. And who cares about what Anastasia says, even though she's right. Now, what you're saying, though, is does the company take what you've taught them and implement it with their employees into their daily activities and into basically the bottom line? And I know the bottom line is something that you talk about in your presentations. I'm going to talk about the bottom line in a little bit, so don't take that away from me. I do want to talk about that, but the rest of it, am I close?
You're very close, and that is actually my biggest belief. So, for example, when a company comes up to me and when they say we need to teach them provide customer service, I don't even do this, okay? Because that's the biggest misunderstanding, misbelief. The biggest misbelief is that you're going to send your employees, your frontline employees, to get the training, and now miraculously, they come back and they provide this beautiful customer service. Here's the magic. No, it doesn't happen like that, okay? Because number one, leaders have to be involved. Number two, there should be a mindset change in how the leaders think, and also a culture change. Because just like imagine, I used to work with the public hospital in Ukraine. Like public hospitals everywhere in the world are not good. Like we know, right?
Uh-huh.
So we know that. But in Ukraine, they used to be earning $100. Nurses used to be earning $100 a month. Okay.
$100
Understaffed. Yeah, understaffed, underpaid. And then I had this challenge. Can you please help us to teach them, provide customer service? There is no way. There is no way. But what I did, I started with the leaders, how leaders thought and how leaders treated their employees. And only after that cultural change, they could start providing what I call natural customer service, and not just the scripted or standardized version. So you're very right. It's all about implementation. So, for example, in our agency, we not only do training and creating something, but we also help the company to implement that. So, and what I mean by implementation is that when I come up to staff, to a person, working with employees or with customers, which is internal, external client, when I ask them just one question, what's your biggest goal right here, right now? And when they answer, and they should be having one answer, okay? That's when you unite them around one idea. When they don't have that answer, they don't have a compass, and everything is like, everything is just chaotic. So that's just one part of it. The service, we call it the service idea of the company, right? But yeah, it has to be implemented, but also it has to be implemented through the way leaders think. And, that is not an easy job to do, by the way.
I'll bet. And so what's the biggest challenge facing corporations today in what you're seeing, especially now? Again, another great topic to talk about is what's happened over the past year. But what's the biggest challenge that's facing corporations today in getting this rolled out, especially with people working at home and what have you? Is it money? Is it employee retention? Is it what do you think?
Yeah, many challenges, by the way. So number one, like if we even talk about training, how do you train everybody now in this reality, right? And there's a lot of hybrid training. We'll talk about that as well. But the biggest challenge is how do you just think about this. How do you provide great customer service, external service, when you don't even see your people, when you don't even see those people providing that customer service? You don't see them because they're at home, working from home, right? So you have to trust them. And everybody was telling this before, all the futurists, Fortune magazine, Forbes, futurists like Mr. Badminton, Ed Izzo, everybody was saying that you have to start trusting your employees, blah, blah, blah. But now, but only now you see that was true. Now, how can you trust them? Like, for example, even in my agency, I don't control my people. I don't need that, right? I don't. Why? Because we all have this one unifying idea that every morning we start with. We call it service vision, or the service idea of the company. So every morning I ask them, like, do you remember the service vision? They would say, yeah, is to provide world-class service. Ours is to provide world-class service in every touch. Okay, nice. So how can we do this possible today? So through taking them back to the basics, that's the only way you can now operate and manage your people, if you want them to provide what you want them to provide, So so that is big. Motivating them is huge. Also, I love how Wall Street Journal just put it. They said that leaders right now have to become social, emotional experts. Now, I don't know about you, Brian, but I teach those MBA guys. I teach those leaders, right? When I teach them, when I look at them, the majority of them are anti-social and anti-emotional. Okay, so just imagine it's a whole like change in how leaders should be talking to their people in Zoom, asking what they thought before was a stupid question of how are you feeling today? Like, let's get back to work. Woohoo! Yeah. No. So that is also a huge challenge of how do leaders feel they have to be transformed, but that transformation is not easy, not comfortable for the majority of them, right? Yeah, and now they're rethinking and reteaching, re-educating themselves on how they could fit into that, new scheme of working with their employees. Yeah, that is also huge. That's also cool. Huge.
Just packed full of information today. I'm so pleased to have you with us, Anastasia. When we come back from the break here, on the other side, we've got a lot of more information to talk about. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Customer service, customer experience, customer satisfaction, customer care, customer delight. So many words out there right now.
And thank you, Anastasia, for being with us today. Anastasia is a customer service expert, and we need customer service experts in these days and times. Anastasia, there was just a little clip of a little teaser of you on stage and what you do, and talk to us a little bit more about that. How's that working out for you?
Oh, actually, thank you for that question. That is maybe I think that people could be inspired by that story. So thank you for that. I was already a known speaker in Eastern Europe and some of Central Europe as well, but I felt like I wasn't professional in it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, and I got very good feedback from people, but I was like, that feeling when you know that you're doing something just because you're talented, but you feel that is not professional. So, and I thought I need to get professional in this, I need to get this going. And I decided to go to New York and study at New York Speakers Association. They have a university over there. Uh-huh. So I would go 4 times a year, I guess. I would fly back and forth just to get my education there. And they help you to become, a professional speaker. Mm-hmm. So the abstract that you were showing is actually my final speech in New York for the National Speakers Association. And that was, and again, before that, I had done speeches and lots of paid speeches for huge audiences. I was scared, I can't even tell you how scared I was. My heart was somewhere in my throat, I was it's so super scared. So, but then afterwards, you had an examination group of people, of well-known worldwide speakers. And when you finish, they come up to you and they say, "Thank you so very much. This was great." You kind of go, "Gosh, if I could do it in New York Speakers Association, now I can do it everywhere." So to keep the story short, number one, get professional in what you think you're doing as as your talent. Just get professional. Don't just rely on your talents, because I think it's like cheating. Do you know what I mean? When you just rely on your talents first, and then second, it always feels so uncomfortable when you step into a new market, new zone. Even you were so successful in your zone. People leaving corporate. It was the same for me. Like, you're so successful, you're leaving corporate, you're opening your own business, and then ta-da, 6 months, 0 clients. How do you go? How do you, so uncomfortable, so not easy, especially for successful people. So I see that pain. But that's something that I did. And now I'm speaking everywhere. I'm listed in United Kingdom's list of speakers. Then I was India, everywhere. So because that's a global thing. Companies want to somehow differentiate. They know they have to provide great customer service, but they just don't know where to start with.
So I've got a question for you.
Go ahead.
It might be a trick question. So I have my own philosophy on this. But in today's world, when we're talking to a customer that's not happy, is the customer always right?
Hey, this is such a okay, I want you to use the word pathetic, but that is such a popular question, such a popular question. Okay. And then remember, I am very interested in cultures. So there are lots and lots of cultural differences. Like, for example, in the States, you know this, when you're unhappy, the majority of companies will do everything for you to leave happy, right? And they will send you, the bottle of champagne over on top of it. Like
Right.
returns. Yeah, returns are easy. Satisfaction guarantee, 100%. Now, if you go to Western Europe, for example, France, you would have to prove that you're right, okay? You would have to prove. Yeah, you would have to prove. You need to show an invoice. You need to show a proof, that you are right, even if you're unsatisfied and it's not your problem and it's a problem of the company. Now, Eastern Europe, you might get a conflict with the company just by saying I'm not satisfied, okay? You might get into a big thing. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so that it really varies culture from culture. In Asia, in Thailand, for example, they will also want you to leave happy whatever happens, okay? Now, back to your question, and if the question is what I believe in, customers are not always right. No. But the question is not even in that sphere. The question should be, do you need that customer or you don't need that customer? Okay? And if you do need a customer, who cares if you're right or a customer is right? Then you do everything to keep the customer. Now, if you do not need that customer, and that happens sometimes, Brian, it does. Like, do you know those customers that take the hell out of your people? Everybody's crying in the back room, but they pay you like, they give the profit margin is like so small that you don't see why, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes that happens, what they call firing a customer. I don't like the word firing, but yeah, sometimes that happens.
Okay.
That's not even about that.
So then this is going to lead me into my next question, and I'm baiting you a little bit here. Technology today. Now, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you go into McDonald's, you go into mom and pop store down the road, you pick something up and you're not satisfied. Well, you had one person to talk to, right? And that was the owner of the store, manager of the store, right? Today, we have a different way of talking to people, don't we? We have Yelp, we've got Yahoo, we've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, and everything is boom, instantaneous. So what do you tell? I'm doing a seminar right now for my clients. This is my seminar, ladies and gentlemen. This is free stuff that you're getting from Anastasia. You won't get anywhere in the world. She's on the cutting edge. Anastasia, what are we doing today with the cutting edge technology that says everything that's on Facebook, everything that's on Yelp, everything that's out there is true and correct, so that bad response, that good response for that business is fact. What are you doing about that?
You mean, how do you track those? You mean, how do you answer to those? You mean, should people believe those? What can you narrow that down for me, please?
Well, I think we're really talking to the business world right now, and I think that employees should be listening to this conversation, because this is the new tomorrow for the corporate world. And so my question really to you is, from a standpoint of a customer that thinks that they can go ahead and make a negative complaint, do they understand what the impact is that they're going to have? But more importantly, what does that business do to overcome that negative impact that they might get by that post, that comment? And when we're talking about the larger corporations, we're talking about millions of people being impacted by this. When we're talking about the mom and pop shop, we're talking about a smaller population, but it could ruin their business now, couldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So it also depends on the generation. So some people do not like to go straight to the to Facebook, to Instagram. Some people do not like doing that. So older people would try to contact the company first, would try to email, would try to do stuff, right? So this is one category of people. Now, younger people, if you probably have noticed, they don't like the conflict. So they don't like, actually, I say that young people, very young people, don't even like talking to each other. So they don't want this whole conversation going. So it's much easier for them to just go online and and tag the company, or do a bad review just for, to show that I'm not satisfied, but I don't feel like going in and talking to somebody and going deep into all that conflict and tension. Okay. So the reason why we put that information online varies from generation to generation. Like, for example, me, I know how hard for the company it is to provide great customer service, how much stuff is involved in this. So for me, I have this one rule, that if I have already contacted the company, used every possible tool, and the company is still ignoring, then only I would do that on stage, online, right? But some people are, go much easier about that. So it's very easy, super easy. You're somewhere in the restaurant, you don't like the service, you just Snapchat, boom, gone, right? Now, for businesses, it's very interesting because still in our age, there are businesses, Brian, who are telling me, business owners, even of huge multinational organization, right? So that would be not probably a business owner, that would be a CEO, for example. So we are having a conversation and I'm telling him, I saw some very bad reviews about your company, in social media. What can you say about that? So many people still tell me, oh, that's not relevant. Somebody writes it for us. We don't even know. That's not true. Those are not true.
It really is relevant, isn't it?
I know. But the good question is, Brian, that even if it's not true, that's something the companies cannot still grasp. Even if the feedback isn't true, you still have to answer to it. And you can't answer something like, oh, you were not our client even. Why are you writing this? So, because as you said, when we are reading those reviews, we are looking at the review, but we are also, taking out the popcorn, sitting down, sitting back and thinking and looking, okay, let's see what the company answers to this, right?
Right. You're right.
Yeah. So it's not even about if it's a true or not a true commentary. We want the company to still look nice when they answer it. Okay. So still have to track those, still have to answer to negative and to positive, because some companies answer only to positive feedback, like, oh, thank you so very much for your nice words. But when it's a negative, no, you're not going to answer.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Anastasia, so tell me, over the past year, the world's changed a lot with COVID and what's going on in the world. We're coming to the other side of it right now, but training, I assume, has changed as well for you in the advent of COVID. So how has COVID impacted you and your training? And really, what kind of hybrid teaching at the business school and hybrid workshops are currently going on with you?
Yeah, that was a huge challenge, by the way, Brian, because you either, if you want to do a great product, if you want to be, if you want to provide a great world-class service through education, the best way is either to do online or offline training, right? But now still we have to combine those, because some people say, I don't feel comfortable, because in some countries you still can have some offline trainings, 10 people, 15 people in the group. It depends on the country. But a lot of the times people would say, no, but we want to do it from home, because we are scared to come and meet other people. We don't know if they were vaccinated or not. So we do have that very weird tool of hybrid teaching, which means that you are here teaching an offline group of people. You're talking to them like I'm talking to you right now, asking questions, but you still have to keep in mind that you have some online people, right? So, and now the technology provides that opportunity. If you have a good sound, everything is great. But still, for us, for people who are teaching, it is hard, because I even have a post-it, like a red post-it on my table when I teach offline and online at the same time, simultaneously. I have this red post-it which says, don't forget online people. Because, like, seriously, I get so involved with offline people, then I totally don't ask even questions to those online people, right? So I don't even say, so what do you think people online, what's your input? What can you say about this? What can you do? And now today I was talking to a client. We are doing lots of workshops for companies in corporate format. So that was in business schools. This is a corporate format. And today we have come up with something even more interesting. So I would have a group of people sitting offline, right? Then I would also have a group of people being online, but we are not allowing them to do online from home, because, that is not going to be the same experience. That is not going to be, you just switch off the camera and you go, you go serve yourself coffee, and it's hard to concentrate as well. It's hard to concentrate online. So what we are doing now is the group of people will be offline. Then there will be a group. A group of people online, but they will just be in a different room. So the same building, but a different room, and they will connect online. So this way, I still know that they're somewhere close. This way, I can ask a representative of that group from a different room to come and present their ideas. But still, you don't have so many people online. But seriously, it's very hard to concentrate. Even, I took part of such a hybrid. So somebody was teaching, and I was as an attendee in the hybrid learning. Very hard, extremely hard to concentrate. So then you have to split also the modules. You can't have them so lengthy.
And that has to do with them being detached from you and watching stuff on the computers and things like that, right?
Yeah. And when we're sitting like this, we're fully in. But if you had me somewhere not that close to the camera, because I'm teaching, I'm writing something, so that's the connection is not the same totally.
Gosh, yeah, I can imagine. So here's a big question for you, Anastasia. What does tomorrow hold for you?
So, I'll be frank with you. When the pandemic hit, it was March. That was the first lockdown, March 2020, right? Our business, the consulting business, was totally stopped, like totally. Okay. All the clients said, we don't know what's going on. We just have to stop this. And it was very scary, by the way, because you still have the bills. It was very scary. But, and I attribute this only to our customer relations. I don't mean people providing customer relations, but us having wonderful relations with companies. And 2020 for us was the best financial year in the whole time of company existence. Can you imagine? So this is something I can even share, what you have to do to have that financial impact. But what I see now that finally countries are opening up, that means that they will be looking for new ways to treat their customers, right? And why the new ways? And those companies that are clever companies, they will be looking for new ways. Companies that are not clever will be trying to use these same ways of customer service, customer experience that they used before, and these do not work at all. Customers have changed so much. Number one word right now, not a buzzword, but a word that has to be used every time with every customer, is empathy. And remember you were talking about digital? This is something digital cannot do and will never be able to do. So, when companies realize that they have to change their culture so that they can provide empathy, this is going to have them going. That's, my advice for companies. And for us, we see a lot of international impact. That's what I always wanted to do, because it's not just it's a global thing. It's a global thing. Service is a global thing.
It truly is. It truly is. I've really had a great time with you today, Anastasia. I'd love to have you back on. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. World-renowned customer service of excellence, Executive Anastasia. Thanks for being on the show today, and be sure to follow the links on the screen to find out more about the work that Anastasia is completing. Right now, that's all the time we have for this early morning edition of the Brian Hartson Show, where we will never be the mainstream media, but the source of news and information for you, the people. Be sure to join us a little bit later today as we have Dr. Stephanie Bridwell, and I promise it's going to be a great show. Remember, right now is the beginning of your today and the rest of your tomorrow. Make a great good morning.